probably discuss that on the podcast itself.
Yeah, yeah,
So, all right. Am I doing intro? All
yeah. It's you.
right, cool, cool. One, two, three, one, two, three. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Make a Time with the Boys. I'm Evan. This is my co-host Zach,
What's up?
and today we've got a couple topics that we're real excited to get to.
Hot off the presses
Exactly.
topics.
So one of these, since this is our 10th episode, kind of like our anniversary, I think we should harken back to our very first topic, our very first episode, where we talked about Mario for like a really long time.
We're
Uh,
coming full circle this week.
exactly. Because I've recently just got the Mario 3D All Stars game, and I've been playing a couple of them. I played 64 for a bit, and you know what? That game, I think that game has aged uh, poorly in only one respect,
The
and that
camera.
is the camera.
Yeah.
Everything else about that game, I think, is probably aged pretty well, but
Mm-hmm.
that camera is just god awful.
Yeah.
So bad.
It almost makes it unplayable
It
in a
really kind
way.
of does. It really does. It really hampers the experience overall.
Right, because that's the main reason I haven't touched it. Because I've beat Sunshine, I've beat Galaxy now, and I'm working through getting all the stars in Galaxy. But like I know I'm not going to touch 64 just for the fact that I don't want to deal with the camera.
Camera's just so bad. And
Yeah.
it's a shame because there's a lot to like about that game, but that
Mm-hmm.
camera is so terrible. Uh, and I've also been playing a lot of Super Mario Sunshine. And I don't know if we talked about Sunshine on the podcast?
I think when we brought it up in the first episode, I think we might have just brought up music.
Did we talk about you playing it though?
Wait, it wasn't in the first episode. We have talked about it because we had the whole like baby game thing. Because I
Yeah.
said it was hard,
Yeah.
and you were like, "Oh yeah, sure, it's hard,
No, I didn't
whatever."
say that, did I? I didn't. I know I made fun of Odyssey, but I don't think I made fun of Sunshine.
No, no, you made fun of me for being bad at Sunshine.
Okay, I could see that,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah.
I have to put in a clip of me just eating chips. But I've played Sunshine, and I don't know if I said before, probably said the game was like not that hard or was pretty good. I take it all back. That game, that okay. How do I even put this into words? Because I don't want to say the game is shit, but I am going to say there are aspects of it that are totally shit,
Right.
like
Well, I
really
think
shit.
maybe a good way to put it is playing it now, like today, really makes its flaws pretty glaring.
Well, okay, and like when I say that, you're like, man, like has it just aged poorly, or like, no, overall, like the game has aged fairly well in regards to just like playability. I
Right.
honestly think that for the most part, there's a lot to love about this game. Where it's being hampered are just idiotic fucking game design choices.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just don't understand. Okay, so the thing we've both played that I think exemplifies this is probably the fucking watermelon level.
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy shit.
I mean,
Okay.
God.
And honestly, the watermelon level is not even like the top tier of my shit list, but
Yeah.
it's pretty bad. So like for those who haven't played Sunshine, in the watermelon level, the infamous watermelon level, you have to push this fucking watermelon to like a specific spot to get the star, to get the sprite.
Right.
In between you and this fucking spot, you have an army of these assholes
The
who,
cataquacks.
the cataquacks, the, the catacucks more like, these guys will come at, I know,
Yeah.
knee slapper right there.
Yeah.
These guys will come at you and they will destroy your fucking watermelon if you give them the chance. And there's so many. And like, in all honesty, they're not too bad to take down because you can squirt them a bit with your water gun, hop on them, and they're out of commission for like, I don't know, a minute or so. But what
Right.
makes it annoying is that initial push, because it's on a hill. So you
Mm-hmm.
push it down the hill, and you have no fucking control of where that thing goes. It just goes wherever you want. Next thing you know, you've got a cataquack rolling up to your fucking thing,
Right.
destroying it immediately. God forbid God fucking forbid one of those assholes gets you in their sights. Because
Yeah,
I swear to fucking God, I push the watermelon down the hill right next to it. This asshole sneaks up behind me. They launch you in the air. They launch you in the fucking air. I land right next to it. It's like, oh, look, there he is again. Better launch him again. I've got
yeah,
no time to recover. He just does this ad nauseum like 6 or 7 times in a fucking row. And I
right.
watch helplessly as my watermelon gets fucked by his friends.
You know, it's
Fuck
something
that
that
level.
I think in a lot of ways could be just solved by some simple hit detection.
Yeah.
Because when you're pushing the watermelon, that's more of the thing that bothered me. Because I tried to avoid going down, because there's like the path you can take to the like the upper
You
side
you
there.
you went down the stairs?
No, 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 not down the stairs. Like facing towards the shack where you have to take the watermelon to,
Yeah.
there's that upper curving route there, because
Holy
you're in the
shit. You
little
took it that
amphitheater.
way? You
Yeah,
took it on like that small little
well, I
path?
tried to take it that way because I had done it the way you're supposed to, like you were just talking about, multiple times, and gone through exactly what you had gone through. And I was
Yeah.
just like, I'm not doing this. I'm having an awful time. But the problem is there's a wooden pole right there that can
Mm,
kind of be a problem.
yeah.
And it's because of hit detection. It's because I don't know what it is about the hitbox for that watermelon, but it's too big.
Yeah.
Because you just get it even just a fraction bit close to that pole, and it knocks it straight down into the cataquack area.
Well, it's also so easy to break that fucking watermelon too, because what
Yeah,
would happen sometimes is that I would dispose of the cataquacks, but they're still there, right? They're still because like you can jump on the cataquacks and put them out of commission, but the cataquacks will still be like on the ground. They're just like stunned.
right,
So if you get unlucky, you can easily end up with scenario where you have the path ahead of you, but a cataquack is like right in the middle. So you're like, oh, I've got
right,
to maneuver around it. But the watermelon's so fucking big that if you try to maneuver around it and you're like next to a wall or something and you push it a bit too far, just a bit, it breaks.
right.
And that's just fucking annoying. And after you get through all that shit, you got to go to the bridge of hell, which
Where
like,
the
because the
tiniest like input from your finger means it gets pushed right
exactly.
off into the water.
Exactly, and it zigzags too.
Yeah.
It's like I made it past that my first try, but I was so fucking careful. I was being so careful with that.
You can't tell me that Nintendo didn't have playtesters play that and be like, this might be too hard.
I know, right? Dude, oh my god. And you know what? We're not done. We're not done. There's
Yeah.
more shit. Here's the biggest thing. I won't get to the biggest thing. I'll save that for a bit. Here's another thing though on my shit list. The pachinko machine.
Yeah.
Fuck that level.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
That's one of the most
Dude.
well documented, like, horrible parts of Sunshine.
It's so bullshit.
Yeah.
Look, like, and it's bullshit for a bunch of reasons, but for the main reason is that it's hard to get one red coin
Hmm.
on that level specifically, because you got to get all 8 red coins to pass this. And for those who haven't played this, you basically go into this level and you're just in this huge fucking pachinko machine. If you don't know what a pachinko machine is, you look it up. It's essentially you just drop something in a machine and you lands in a spot,
Right.
whatever.
There's
Kind of hard to
pegs on the
explain.
board, and if
Yeah,
it was like a disc, it would like bounce around and
exactly. You
come.
probably, if you look it up, you'll know what we're talking about. But you basically go in this huge pachinko machine, and you have to go to specific spots on the machine to get these red coins to get the star. And when you get all of them, you get the star. But one of these coins is very hard to get, and it's because, and I didn't figure it out because there is actually a good way to get it. But what I would end up doing is I would jump up, right? And then I'd start squirting my jets to sort of maneuver. But
Right.
I guess it would force me. I could never fucking get to that one spot with the red coin because it would always just force me in the middle.
Yeah.
Did that happen with you?
Yeah. I had watched before I played that level. I had rewatched how Chucker Conroy approached it, and also just because it's funny. And I think like if you haven't watched the Game Grumps playthrough
Oh
as part of
fuck.
Sunshine, Aaron has one of my favorite freakouts he's ever had at a level
You,
because it really exemplifies how awful that level is.
dude, you can watch a bunch. I've seen like I think every person I've seen play that level has like fucking had a tantrum because it's so
Right.
annoying. Christ. So like, fuck that level. I mean, it's
Yeah.
torturous. It's fucking torturous.
Well, I think that's almost symbolic of two general problems I have with Sunshine. Is one, and this is kind of a thing with most Mario games. I don't know if I really care for the whole eight red coin thing.
Yeah.
Like, if for me, the level that infuriated me the most on my first playthrough, or my only playthrough, I should say, is you go to the hotel that's populated by booze, and you have to go through the whole hotel and get those eight red coins, and you're on a time limit of 5 minutes, which like isn't that bad, except the hotel is like a maze. And it's
Yeah.
pretty easy to get lost in there. And it took me forever to get that one. I was so upset playing that. But also, I don't think the flood mechanics work quite as well as maybe Nintendo wanted them to
Yeah.
a
How do you
lot of the
mean?
time. Just like trying to use the hover nozzle to traverse certain things and trying to match up your movements and jumps to utilize the hover nozzle is a lot more of an acquired skill
Mm. Is there
than
a is there a spot specifically where this like kind of stuck out to you?
um maybe again in the hotel with the booze, because
Mm.
as you go through that there's the red booze that you can spray,
Right.
and maybe this is just a larger problem with the controls at times. But for a lot of those, you'll have to spray them, then you might have to do a backflip to get up on top of it, and then use the hover nozzle to get up high enough to enter a new area or a hidden area. And I don't know what it was for me, but the sequence of inputs to get all that to work properly was just difficult at times.
Right.
And I think another level that to me was really like, God, this is just hard to trudge through at times, is there's the one level you get to where it's like it's like there's coral coming out of the ground, and the I think the first thing you have to do is climb up this huge mountain, and at the top there's a mole and like a bubble cannon or a
Oh,
bomb cannon.
I haven't played that one, but I know what level you're talking about right now.
Yeah, that level just annoyed me, and I don't know.
It's a
I
shame because that's like such a beautiful level too.
Right,
Just
yeah,
kind of
and
hampered by.
that's kind of the thing with all of Sunshine is it's a very beautiful game, honestly.
Yeah, but
Like
it's just
even when you look at it, people playing it on the GameCube, it looks fantastic.
yeah, but it's hampered by what I like to coin as asshole design.
Hmm.
They just want to fucking screw with you.
How have the non-flood levels been treating you?
I honestly haven't. I'm trying to think. I don't think I've had too bad of an experience with them.
Yeah.
You seem to particularly dislike them, but I have more of
Well,
an issue with the because you have to go through them again with flood and do the eight
right.
red
To
coin
yeah,
missions. I think
for
I've
the
had more
secret
trouble with
stars.
that one.
Um, I think the problem is for me is I'm so used to the back trigger being crouch for like long jumps and things,
Yeah,
and in Sunshine it just centers the camera,
right.
and also how like doing the backflips, like you just have to sometimes that can be hard to input, I feel like, because you just have to make sure you're facing the opposite direction and jump, but it's kind of finicky.
Right.
Whereas like in Galaxy you just hold the back trigger and press the jump
Yeah,
button.
it does make it a bit more. It's kind of like a unique challenge because you end up
Right.
having to do that like little side jump more often, and even
Also,
the backflip is good enough. Or the
instead of
long
having
jump.
oh, I think you just hit what I was going to say was the long jump. Instead of having that, you have to do the jump dive thing.
Yeah, yeah, and that's kind of it's a bit that's a bit more wonky than the long jump. It doesn't have as much range either,
Right.
but it is useful for sliding around on the water, which is pretty fun to do.
Yeah. And it also, another thing Sunshine I think introduced that I despise in Galaxy as well is the 100 coin stars.
That's in 64 as well.
Is it really?
Yeah, that was all the way back in 64.
Jesus. Well, I
Does
hate
Galaxy
that.
have that?
Yeah, well, they have it slightly different because it's the purple coin
Oh,
challenges.
I see. But those are a bit more chill though, right? Because those are
Yeah,
just
because most of them are grouped.
right.
Like you, so you'll go through and you'll find like five at a
Are
time.
those timed?
Some of them are,
Hmm.
because like I played, I've been playing through them now since I beat it and those comments have been unlocked. And for some of them, it's just go through the entire level, make sure you don't miss any. And
I
for others, it's here's 1 minute in an area full of purple coins. Like there
I
was one
see.
where it was the drag star, the like blue drag star
Hmm.
thing, and you just had to go through an area with like these bouncy things that if you hit them, they'd spring you away. So you had to try and get them all while avoiding those.
I see. But I do hate. I think Galaxy probably does them best. I would say Sunshine does it worse.
Mm-hmm.
Does it like the worst out of them all because like first off, it's hard to. Okay, so like in 64, you could probably do the 100 coin mission in like on any mission in the
Right.
level because you just travel around, get some coins, whatever, no big deal, no biggie.
Mm-hmm.
In Sunshine though, you have to there's like they've got like a fucking coin deficit. There's
Yeah.
not enough coins in the game on the goddamn level.
You almost have to memorize one where all the blue coins are, and then where all the red coins are, and then just hope you get enough enemies for
Right.
the
Well,
the
and
normal
here's the
coins.
thing. Even if you do get the enemies, those coins disappear in like 2 seconds. I don't know
Yeah.
what the fuck they were thinking. I was convinced for a bit in the beginning that there was no 100 coin mission because it
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, well, why would they make the coins disappear so fast? Obviously, it doesn't matter all that much, right? No, no, it does. They just decided to implement asshole design and make it to where that it's like it's very easy to miss these coins you fucking earned by killing this bad guy.
Yeah.
Like fuck that.
I also can't wait for you to get to areas of the game where you have to like get in a boat and use the flood to steer the boat, because that was the hardest thing to do in the entire game easily. Because when
I've
you're
already had to kind of do that in Bianco Hills with the leaves on the lake. You use
right,
those?
um, I don't think I used the leaves. I did a lot of experimenting with ways to get places.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because for me playing through Sunshine for the first time was like I want the experience, you know.
Mm.
So I just went in and did whatever felt right, and I mean I made it through. Is I think at times it was like I begrudgingly made it through, but you know.
uh, okay, but it's time I talk about the thing I fucking hated the most during this whole thing. The Durian fucking side mission. Have you played the Durian side mission?
The one, so this is the one in Delfino Plaza.
Yes.
Yeah,
Fuck that, man. Oh my god. That is asshole design to a fucking insane degree.
because
I
you're talking
hate
about where
that.
you have to get it across the
Yeah, I got it
like
across the fucking river thing.
yeah, yeah.
Holy shit, man. Okay. So like I already had issue. Oh my god. I don't even know. Okay, so like for people who don't understand what the fuck this is, there's a fruit called a durian. You have to in Delfino Plaza, you have to deliver 3 durians to this random lady in the plaza. She wants 3 of them. Easy enough, right? Well, here's the thing. Here's the kicker. You cannot pick up
Literally
these
a
fruit.
kicker.
I know, I know. You have to kick them. You have to kick these fruit. I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. You got to kick them from where you can only find them in one spot, and it's all the way across the map, all the way
Mm-hmm.
away from this woman. You got to kick them up a hill, and then you have to launch them across the river. It's like, how do you do that? Well, you got to angle it just right, and then you have to launch yourself into it by pressing Y. You have to fucking dive into it.
Yeah.
And even if you get the angle right and it makes it across, there's a good chance it bounces so much, it'll just bounce right back into the fucking river, anyways. But if you do get it across, well, then you got to go across the river. You got to kick it up another hill, with the worst goddamn camera angle possible. Fucking, oh my God, they made it annoying just to get it up this damn hill. You know,
Right.
where and as you're kicking it up these hills, there's a good chance you might run past it because I think the hitbox in this thing is fucking broken. Then maybe kick it a bit too far to the left or right and it rolls past you. But if you get it up the hill, you're finally in front of the basket. What happens next is that the durian fucking disappears because they put it on a goddamn timer
Hmm.
because they thought that was fucking genius to do. The amount of times I've kicked that fucking durian up the goddamn hill just for it to disappear, it's rage inducing, my dude.
Yeah. It sounds like the way you just described isn't too different from how I did it, because I watched this speedrunner named Small Ant
Mhm.
who played Sunshine for the first time, and he how he set it up was, you can go down the one um, where you're basically across there where like the boat goes through.
Yeah.
And he would just kick it there, dive like the dive into it to get it across that, and then hover over and just kick it over quickly. So it doesn't sound like we're how we approached it was all that different.
No, I think you probably aimed a bit more to the right and kicked and launched it over.
Yeah,
Because
I think
I
I honestly it sounds like I just got lucky.
that durian mission made me fucking like so angry. I hated it. And I had a glitch at one point where Mario would kick it across the fucking map just by walking into it. I don't know what the fuck that was about, but that ruined some runs. Like,
The glitches in Sunshine are crazy.
yeah,
Like there's so many, because I remember we've talked about this before, but when I played it and I got to the final boss fight where it's one of the easiest boss fights I think of any Mario game, because you just run in a circle and ground pound a couple
yeah.
times. But every time I would ground pound for like 8 separate attempts, I would glitch through and just fall to my death. And it, I don't know, Sunshine was so infuriating at times that I didn't want to play it.
It's pretty annoying as a game. It's a game that I think could have been like fantastic, but is held back by just like even if it had glitches, I think it's just I mean, even if it didn't have glitches, it's still held back by just asshole design.
Right.
Like I could deal with glitches, I can live with that, but if it just didn't have so much fucking assholery, I'd be happy.
Right.
But yeah,
Well, it was
so
especially hard for me to get through because the whole time I'm playing Sunshine, I'm just like, I just want to play Galaxy. That's like the
I
whole
know.
reason I bought this game was to so I could play Galaxy.
I'm saving Galaxy till the semester's over. That's my
Yeah.
plan. I want to enjoy it without like it's like it'll have that added enjoyment of like oh freedom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I know what you're saying. And I respect it because it's truly one of the most relaxing games to
Oh,
play.
definitely.
So
So yeah, are we done fucking shitting on Sunshine?
I think so. I think we've covered our bases here on Sunshine, just destroying it. But I think this also means our friendship for the podcast is over as we broach this next topic a
All
bit.
right, yeah. So Zach, you've been playing Last of Us 2.
I have been playing The Last of Us Part 2, and much as I suspected, I'm loving it.
Okay,
I've
well
loved
just
every second of it
uh,
so far.
uh,
So, yeah.
okay.
No,
All right. All right, it's fine.
let's
It's cool.
let me explain myself here. So,
Yeah?
for those of you who don't know about the Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2, when The
Should
Last of
we
Us Part
warn
2
should we warn for
came.
spoilers?
Oh yeah, fair point. Spoilers for what we're going to talk about for quite a
Yeah.
while on
It's
this
it's
podcast.
it's been out for a few months, but still you should
Yeah.
be aware.
Um,
Go on.
but you should know that when The Last of Us Part 2 came out, all the critics gave it rave reviews. And
Because they're
then
fucking
a
retarded.
lot, this is Evan's opinion. Then a lot of fans got it, and fans are pretty split. I would say half of the fan base is
Pretty
a hundred
split.
percent against it, and the other half are completely loving it.
I think most probably hate it.
No, I'd say it's more split than you'd think.
Okay. All right. You're
Like,
probably more in tune with the fan base than I am.
just because I think there's the people who are extremely vocal, and those people who are extremely vocal are the ones who didn't like it. you know.
All right. Okay.
But first of all, the part I think we can reach common ground on is one thing I love is the gameplay. Like the core gameplay aspects of like going through, and I mean I'm free to admit that it's basically the exact same gameplay as The Last of Us 1.
Yeah.
But that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. And they've done some minor improvements. There's more of a like a skill tree system now because you can find different skill books as you go through. Um, and I gotta say, the graphics for this game are amazing. Probably the best graphics of any game
It
I've
is the
ever
most
played.
beautiful polished shit I've seen.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Now, this moment, what I'm about to say right here, is the spoiler and where Evan and I will completely part ways.
Okay, go ahead, Zach. Go ahead.
I am
Fucking do it.
I am completely okay with how Joel dies.
God, you're so
I'm
fucking wrong.
100% okay with it, and let me tell you why.
So
Because
fucking
I've
wrong.
seen so many people just like, oh, it doesn't play to Joel's character. He would never be like that. This,
He
that, and the
fucking
other.
wouldn't though. He
No, but here's the
wouldn't.
thing: because
What the
people are like,
fuck?
he wouldn't tell him his name, and he would do. He doesn't do anything. It's all Tommy. Tommy is the one. If you watch the scene and if you're playing the game, what happens is
Yeah.
so
Well, Zach,
Abby, the
controversial
character.
opinion. Tommy wouldn't fucking do that either. They both wouldn't do that.
No, see, you don't know that though,
I
because
fucking
in
do.
the
What?
first game, no, because in the first game, you spend barely any time with Tommy. You spend enough to know that him and his wife are setting up, trying to set up,
Tommy
you
also
know,
nearly fucking kills you because he's super worried about anyone getting near his camp. And then now
right.
he's like, "Oh right, I'll just tell them where the fuck I live."
Listen,
That's ridiculous.
I'm getting to this point.
Okay,
So
all right.
there's been a 4 year gap between the first game and this game. That's important point one. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They've set up a huge town, a huge safe haven for people called Jackson. They're obviously actively trying to get people to come to Jackson and to like reestablish it as a hub of
Are they
civilization.
obviously trying to get people to come to? Are they obviously doing that?
Yes.
How?
I mean, okay, Tommy goes, why don't you come back to Jackson?
That's the
Like,
scene I'm using. No, that's the scene I'm using as. I'm saying that's stupid. I'm saying he shouldn't do that.
well, if you're trying to like reestablish civilization, you need people for a civilization. Like you can't just be like, we have our
Why the
core
fuck?
20 here.
Why?
So
How do we know that Tommy's trying to reestablish civilization? Maybe he's just trying to.
him and
Before,
his wife literally have built an entire city. They have walls, they have active
yeah, but that
patrols,
doesn't
they're
mean that
scouting.
that doesn't tell me that he's trying to rebuild society. That means he's trying to fucking build a town where he can feel safe.
And obviously they want other people there so they can be safe because
Uh-huh.
there's safety in numbers,
Right. And
Evan.
so they
That's
bring
like
other people
that's like
despite
a
not knowing if they can be trusted. Just literally fucking anybody. That's stupid,
well,
Zach.
the only
He
thing
doesn't know who the hell these people are and he's telling them where they live.
their
This
interaction
fucking
with them up to that point is that he has just been saved by these people from a horde of zombies that were chasing them.
did they what now this is actually a question. Did they were they saved or did they save them? Because
No,
from my
the
perspective.
because here's what happens. I can walk you through the gameplay
Okay, go ahead.
exactly. So in that section, you're playing as Abby, who is the other character you play as in the game, who is the person who kills Joel.
Because
Okay?
I thought that Joel and Tommy basically saved their asses because
No,
Abby, are
because
you
here's
certain?
I've literally played it. I
Oh, okay. All right.
so
Okay.
So here's what happens. So you're playing as Abby. You're going up to this lookout where you know some people from Jackson are. Because the thing with Abby is that her father was one of the Firefly members who, like, Joel kills. I'm not far enough in the game to have seen that, like, realization that, like, I am not playing her part yet, but I do know that that is
I'm interested. Okay, so you
lore.
haven't made it that far yet because that is when people. Okay, I'm interested
But
in hearing about how you feel about that because that's when a lot of people did start dropping off with the game or the Abby sections.
But
So
you do play Zowie early, and so in that section, you're looking for them. You get attacked by a horde of zombies, so you start running. And when you run through this like cabin, this lodge, you run into Joel and Tommy, who are also being chased by that horde of zombies. So Joel and Tommy do save Abby.
Okay, well there you go.
Okay, now wait, you're jumping to conclusions on me here.
I didn't
So
say anything. I just said there you
so
go.
they run through, and through this section, Abby both saves them and they save her. So there's an equal exchange of saving as they're escaping this horde of
Right.
zombies, and then their pathway back to Jackson is cut off by zombies. And Abby's like, listen, I have a group of survivors in this cabin. They can protect us, right? And obviously, these survivors don't know who she's bringing back. But what happens is, so they're riding back. They open the gates for them, get them in, close them. They not only take bullets and shoot down, mow down these zombies, but also use Molotov cocktails and things to stop this horde of zombies and save Tommy and Joel and Abby. So they get in, and the group is very kind to Tommy and Joel, and they like give are getting them brushes to take care of the horses and trying to find out if they're all okay. And Tommy is going through, and he's like, oh, where are you guys from? Like, him and Joel are asking why they're near Jackson and all that. And then Tommy is the one who says, well, you guys could come on back to Jackson. We could at least get you restocked before you head out on the road. Because, they're good people trying to help people survive in this zombie apocalypse world.
I still
And
think it's stupid.
and
It's
I'm not done
obviously
yet. I'm
okay.
not done
Okay,
yet.
sorry. Okay, go ahead. Finish the
So
point.
and then Tommy is the one who introduces himself as Tommy and says, "This is my brother." And then Joel reluctantly, is very obvious that it's reluctant, says Joel. And that's when they
I
recognize the name
okay. Okay, you
and
got it.
attack them.
I don't care about the name thing really all that much. I think it was stupid for Tommy to tell them where they lived. That was my main thing. I don't think I and obviously it was fucking stupid because they couldn't be trusted. I don't think that was a, I don't really know if Tommy, even after 4 years, would suddenly become so much less wary of people, especially when he only has Joel, he's only out there with Joel. They outnumber him like fucking 3-1. I don't think he would have been so fucking uh I think he would have been more likely like, oh, thanks for saving us, we'll
But the
stay here
thing
for a bit,
is,
we'll part
they're
ways.
they're not stuck in like a DMZ zone anymore, where they're quarantined, and like they have these Fedra soldiers and stuff watching over them and everything they do. This is they're 4 years into a built civilization, and you have all these flashbacks you play through where obviously things are kind of returning to more of a sort of normalcy in this apocalyptic world. And like there's a lot more kind of jubilation and things that are going on in Jackson. And I think if you go through 4 years of more of this normal life, you soften up a bit. Like, there's no way you can stay as battle hardened as you are if you get 4 years of living in a cozy house behind walls, just taking patrols, dealing with zombies, but bringing in new people to help like populate your town and help you protect it and things
Right,
like
but then you're
that.
saying that they had no issues with trusting outside people during those 4 years? Like it was all fine?
Sure,
I
they
don't,
they
I
mentioned that
don't.
they had to deal with hunters and things like that.
Well, then there. Well,
But
like, why wouldn't
when
you be worried then?
when you're just saved by these people, I think there's a different implication than when you and zombies are being attacked alike, because that's something that's pretty well established throughout the both the first game and the second game, is that when you're facing enemies who are against you or your people, they will attack you and zombies alike without a second thought. So there's an immediate establishment of trust when you're being chased by a horde of zombies and they don't take you out worrying about you as well as the
But he hasn't
zombies.
even had like just by the mere fact they haven't been shot is one thing, but he hasn't even talked to them. He had like one conversation and that's it. I think it's just I don't think Tommy is that stupid. I really just I have trouble buying that. And you
I
might think like, oh, well, you might say that, oh, he had 4 years of happy times that made him less worry. I don't think that's I don't really know if I'd buy that.
Well, I also think you have to look at the fact that if you're in charge, if you're partly in charge, because really Maria, his wife, is shown to be the person in charge of this town, Jackson. But if you're part of the main defense force and you run into seemingly good people who have guns and ammunition and seem like they're able to survive on their own, there is no reason why you wouldn't try to recruit them to your town. Because I mean, you look
If
at
you're
like,
part of the defense force, you might be worried that if they have a bunch of guns and shit, that might be a threat to your town.
well, if they were a threat to your town, they would have attacked
And they
already.
did. They killed Joel.
They killed Joel, but they didn't attack the town.
I mean, fucking hell, they are obviously pretty threatening, dude. I mean, Jesus. They nearly
And
shot Tommy. I mean, yeah, it's like you can't. They obviously couldn't be trusted, so it was stupid for him to trust them.
well, I think the thing is when you're playing The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part Two, you're either bought into what the world is as it's presenting itself, or you're not. And I think if you're bought into how the world presents these interactions, especially for this safe haven they're trying to set up, these seemingly good people who just saved them and are offering them like care and care for their horses and things like that, like there was nothing there that would have caused them
Right,
any
but like
angst.
but even those interactions, compare that to the interactions in Last of Us 1, where even if the people weren't like, outwardly aggressive, there is still this tense air of, can we really trust them? What are their goals? What do they
Well,
want?
you're right there, but then also you have to look at like the first settlement they're trying to set up in the first one when you first meet up with Tommy and Maria is a pretty like low defended settlement where they have to hide and ambush anyone who shows up. And then you look at Jackson where they're at now, they have high walls, they have spotlights, they have basically
Right, but
watchtowers where
then
they can position.
they're also saying, oh yeah, come inside our walls, come past our defensive, come inside our town. He's just trusting them. He just like you. I get what you're saying. It's like, oh, they're in a much better position to defend themselves, so he's much more comfortable. But I don't see why that means he has to be so comfortable letting them inside the fucking town. Let him inside. Oh, come join us. Whoa, you're skipping a few steps there, buddy. You see what I mean? Does that make sense? You
I
see what I mean?
mean, I don't know because I still stand by because it's like you look at any zombie related material like this, and like this is the move that would be made is that if you run into a group of survivors who seem well-meaning and well supplied and you're trying to set up some type of civilization, you're going to want those people to come in so that they can help fortify
I
what you
partly
already have
disagree.
built up.
I think usually the first step is seeing if you can trust them first, because that's the biggest thing. If they're a bunch of assholes who only seek to serve themselves, then even if they're well armed, you might want to think twice about asking them to join, because that's always the thing that happens. That you get a bunch of people together, and then guess what? The next thing, aside from the zombies, is that there's inner turmoil, because those people you just invited in were actually kind of assholes. That's like the whole big thing of Walking Dead.
Well, right, but just also in like with these things, the the immediate trust is earned by them being saved, and then that next level of trust, you're right, it does have to be earned. But how is it supposed to be earned if you don't bring them in and start putting
Talk
them
to
in
them.
these
They
positions?
have no. That's not how you trust them. What the hell?
Well, what do you expect
You
them to
have
do then? Like, okay,
have
we're
you
gonna
have
keep
the
you
entire
right out
okay.
here
Let
in
me
the
fucking say
woods.
it. We have like an entire day where they're basically fucking stuck out there. Maybe talk to them for a bit more. See if I would believe it. Here's the thing. I believe that scene so much more if they spend some time there, just getting to know each other, talking, building camaraderie. Because then it makes much more sense. Because then Tommy kind of feels like he knows him a bit more, and he's like, "Oh, okay. You guys seem cool. Uh, I usually don't. You could. We have a town, and you guys come stay there. You could." See what's what. I believe the scene a lot more if that's the case. But
But to
it's the
be
fact
fair,
that it all happens 5 seconds.
they can see the town from where they're at. Like that lodge is very obviously in view of the town. So like they don't have to go up there and be like, "We have this town." It's obvious it's
It's
there.
one
It's
thing.
literally
This
like
it's
it's a
one thing.
beacon.
It's one thing to see the town, and one thing to be inviting people inside.
Well, and again,
That's what I'm saying.
all he says in the scene is that he can bring them in and restock, but it's, if they get there, then the likely next step is that he would have invited them in. And I don't think him telling them his name and introducing Joel, like I think that's just some southern hospitality on
I never
Tommy's
brought up the
part.
names. I don't really care about the
Well, I
name
know.
part.
I'm just like including that part because there will be people who listen, aka
Sure.
Dylan, if Dylan
If
listens, who will be like, "Oh, but it betrays the character." No, listen. And here's the thing. I think also that even though that Joel doesn't get to say much in terms of like last words, like his death is pretty succinct, and I think that is kind of a downside
they
because
literally
he's such an
spit
important character.
they
And,
literally spit on his grave,
right,
for
but
fuck's sake.
to be fair though, like as I've been playing through this Ellie section, you get a ton of Joel moments. There's flashbacks where you're constantly doing stuff with Joel, and you kind of get to memorialize him that way because she's just remembering all these positive moments. Like there's this whole sequence where it's her birthday and you go to
That's
this
the best part of
museum,
the game. That's the best part. Fucking, that's a great part.
and like I think there that Joel is done his due justice, at least from where
Mm.
I'm at in the game, through these kind of memorialized moments
Now,
of their
okay,
past.
here's the thing. And you haven't played all the game, and I've seen all the game. I haven't played it myself. I know what happens. I've basically seen the entire game, gameplay and cutscenes and all. I disagree that by the end of the game, that Joel is properly memorialized. I think the game goes out of its way to shit on Joel and make you think he was a terrible fucking person and that he was just basically kind of a monster.
Well,
Because it tries to paint Abby as a good fucking person, as like, oh, a saint who had every fucking reason to kill Joel, and that Joel had no fucking reason to try to save his goddamn surrogate daughter in the first game. I think that was
well,
fucking
you're the
ridiculous.
thing is, it's another complex situation
Oh God.
because well, no, I mean, let's be pretty clear here. At the end of the first game, Joel does save Ellie because he does see her as kind of his surrogate daughter. Like that's the role she's taken over their long journey, and he has to come to this horrible choice at the end of the first game of like, am I going to let this cure happen, but basically lose my daughter a second time? You know,
We don't even know if it's
or
gonna even make a cure.
I
We
mean,
don't even know
you're
that.
you're right, but they're pretty positive. They're pretty hopeful that they're going to be able to extract what they need from Ellie to
They're
make a
gonna
cure.
fucking kill her
Right,
to make a
and
cure.
that's not
But
like
we don't even
like.
know it's gonna be. I don't even know how whatever. Go on.
But I think if you are in a world where like that's that messed up, where there's even a chance for a cure, you're telling me you're not fighting for that chance of a cure. Like let's be honest with ourselves.
Are you saying if I kill
No,
like someone
I'm
close to me to
saying
get a cure?
if there's a way to get a cure, you're not fighting for a way to get that cure.
I don't understand. Like, what does this have to do with any? Are you saying like, what are
I'm
you
I'm
defending the
I'm
Fireflies right
defending the
now, or?
fireflies. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm
Uh,
devil's advocating the
I
fireflies.
think the Fireflies were retarded because here's the thing. They went okay. So here's what happens from Joel's perspective. So Joel brings Ellie. They get knocked out. They basically kidnap Ellie and like they just take her while she's unconscious, take her into the fucking base, separate her from Joel. They put Joel in a separate room, and they just say, "Yeah, we found a cure. We're just gonna kill Ellie." They're like, "Well, did you ask Ellie if she wants to do this?" No, no, we're just gonna keep her knocked out. Have you tried to maybe see if there's any other way? It's literally the same day you've gotten us. No, we're just gonna fucking do it. It's like, oh, okay, that's cool. That's nice. The Fireflies are retarded. And to think that they were the quote unquote, to paint them as the good guys in the second game, as the pure fucking heroes, I think is doing
I
them
don't
too
I
much
don't think they
justice.
paint them as good guys though.
They totally do that in the second game.
Because what it
If you've seen the
is
flashback with Ellie and her dad's death, they totally try to paint them as the good guys.
listen, the thing is again, we're dealing with this a complex new world where truly what Joel did was a monstrous act. He went
I'm not
through
going to
and
deny,
like
I wouldn't
eliminated
say
a
it's
whole group of survivors. And to be fair, they were going to do an awful thing to Ellie. They were literally going to kill
right.
her
Well,
for
and
a
here's
cure
the
that
thing.
they
He
couldn't be sure was going
he
to
did it.
work
I
if they
wouldn't even
killed her.
characterize it as totally monstrous, gruesome. Like Exactly. So, but he did it to save someone he loved. That's
Right,
not
and
monstrous.
there's justification for what he did. 100%, I agree with that. And you know what? You get this conclusion that that Abby's family was lost there, and that in some ways she's just as justified to go on this murderous rampage as Joel was, because both are acts of love, brutality in love.
Well, Joel did it to save his daughter. Allie's just doing it because she wants revenge.
I
I
mean,
don't think I don't think she's as justified as Joel in any regard.
I mean,
And then she saves her life, and she's just like, I'm just gonna fucking kill him anyways. It's like, oh, cool, nice, Abby, good one.
and I maybe I have to get farther into the game. Maybe there's part of this, and maybe by the time I finish the game, I will have a different opinion. But so far, I feel like the writers are still portraying Joel true to character as he was in the first game. I think you can definitely tell he's a happier version of himself than you see through a lot of um, The Last of Us Part One, which makes sense because he gets these 4 years with his daughter again. Basically, he gets movie nights, and he gets to teach her how to play guitar, and you know stuff like that. And I don't know, I guess there are some things I have had problems with The Last of Us Part 2, though. Yeah, I'm not going to call it perfection. I'm not even halfway through the game, and already there's been too many pregnant people.
Oh my god, you're gonna fucking flip out when you get to Abby's part. I
I know.
cannot
Well,
wait.
I already know that there's a ton of like, "Oh, she's pregnant," and then you find out you killed that person as
No, no,
Ellie.
that's not what I'm talking about. You'll see when you get to Abby's. You're.
Okay,
It's gonna be so fucking funny. I wish.
but I mean, listen, okay, that it's fine. It's like a nice moment in Abby's early part where like you're with this Owen guy, and he's like, the reason I don't want to make any move against Jackson is because of the fact that one, they'll overwhelm us, and two, like my wife's pregnant, so she gets first priority over whatever you want. And then literally we're gonna go like 3 hours later, and Dina is also gonna be pregnant. Like,
Oh,
and
right,
then
she is
yeah,
with
and
the other
then
guy's baby.
yeah, and then I'm gonna get later in the game and find even more pregnant people. Like, okay, you have your one trick pony. You did it once. Please leave it at that.
I
Please
don't know
give
if
us
there
one pregnant
are. I think
character.
I think those are just the two. I don't remember any other pregnant
I'm
people.
pretty sure there is another pregnant person in
I think
Abby's part.
I know. I think you're thinking of the same person.
Really?
The
Okay.
the first person Owen was talking about is the person in Abby's part.
Okay. Well, even two people is too much because you don't. It's
Well,
like reusing a word in two back-to-back sentences.
well,
Like, you don't want to
what
do that.
they do with her is really fucking funny. It's so stupid. That's so dumb.
Um,
Uh,
but
Dylan.
I think, and we knew this talking about The Last of Us Part Two before I even played it, that I would be a fan of just playing the game
Yeah,
itself because
yeah.
I love Naughty Dog's formula so much. And I will say, because this is something the YouTuber Nakey Jakey has made a video about that I have yet to watch, but I kind of already get the vibe of what he's going to talk about. Because it's titled that Naughty Dog's formula is outdated or something like that. Like, that's what the title is. And I kind of have to agree that, like, we're getting to a point now where I kind of want something fresh in my playing of a Naughty Dog game, because every Naughty Dog game I've played, I mean, not we're not talking in terms of gunplay or collecting, but in how you progress in, like, oh well, here you're gonna have to hold triangle and let your partner come over and be like, let me boost you up. And you go through areas where there's just like a ton of platforming. And that's not necessarily say that's a bad thing, because I love it, and I love every Naughty Dog game I've played. But there does come a point where it's like, well, I've seen every one of these gameplay beats get hit before, you know?
Yeah.
So
Uh, this is also kind of, uh, I guess, building off of that. I don't know if you've noticed this, but when I was watching the game, I would also complain that I think the exploring aspect of the game needs to be okay. So, like when I say exploring, I mean like, you know, finding things, and to be more specific, finding like, those notes people leave behind.
right,
You can find. Uh, God, they're so fucking bad because they're all just basically the same thing. They all
right.
just say like, "Yeah, we fucking died. Here's the code for my safe," and
Yeah,
that's about it.
yeah. Um,
Not a lot of incentive there to actually like explore and maybe find something, I don't know, at least interesting.
I do think that it's an improvement from the exploration of the first game
Maybe.
because there's when you're going through an area like I was going through one of the early parts where it's Ellie and Dina are together, and it's like you have two places on the map where you have to go and search, and then you can find like little they're marked with question marks. They're like little sub
Oh,
areas.
you're talking about the whole like kind of free roam little
Right,
area they
like
have.
kind of free room esque thing, which is something Naughty Dog started to play with in Uncharted 4. Like I like that aspect a bit because I mean you constantly want to find stuff like ammunition and things, but I do agree that you basically walk into each area and do the same thing.
Yeah,
Where it's just like, oh, this person like died or got bit and couldn't take it, or I think the most unique one that I've found so far is you go into a bank and you find out that these people tried to take like the day that the outbreak really went
yeah,
wild to try and rob a bank, and this one guy got bit, and of course he didn't know what getting bit meant, but he like was locked in the vault and killed himself in the vault to prevent himself from turning. And doing that gets you the shotgun. And like to me, that was the one that sticks out in my mind is like that's a memorable little
right.
area to find,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, it's not
But a
bad.
lot of the time it's just like, oh, I went out for supplies and got bit and ducked in here
Yeah,
and took my life. And it's like, okay.
yeah. It
I,
gets to
I
the
still
point.
pick them up and read them, but I know what's coming a lot of the time.
Yeah, it
And
gets to the point. It's like, well, what's even the point of writing these if you're not even going to do anything
right,
creative with it?
right. Um, but that's like in terms of the larger scope of thing, it's small potatoes.
Oh
But
yeah, sure.
to be
Just to kind of
fair,
mention.
though, like if you're going to include it, at least put a little work into it. You
Yeah,
know,
well, because there's like a lot of them, like like a bunch in every
right?
area, so it is
Um,
noticeable.
I do think this game is more rewarding to exploration as well, because in the first game, a lot of the time you would just be given things like the extra inventory slots so that you can quickly access guns. And
Hmm.
this time, exploration is what gives you those like extra pockets essentially.
Yeah, which
Um,
that's pretty cool. I'm always up for games rewarding more, being like wanting to actually explore the game they've provided.
Right. And I do like some of the new like the being able to set mines, and also like these like knockout bombs that
Yeah,
are like stun enemies. Like they've added some things that just some like quality of life things that I do enjoy quite a bit, even though it's not that big of a change. Um, and one thing I like right now about it that I might come to feel like is overdone by the time I get to the end of the game and have heard it a million times, but is the hearing how the enemies react to finding bodies, and like
oh my god.
when you grab
Literally about to
someone.
bring, I was about to bring that up actually. Go on with what you're gonna say.
Because I was going to say, because I've liked early on this idea that like what they're trying to play with is this idea that these are just survivors too, and like you're on the war path and you're killing these people, but at the end of the day these are like friends and families, and
Right.
that like you're taking them out as well. But I do think there's going to come a point probably where I feel like I kind of get it.
It gets to my opinion, it gets played out so much that it loses its effectiveness.
Right.
It becomes so because it's like one thing to hear is like, John, no. and then 12 hours in, you hear it's like, "Oh, John, no," and you're like, "Oh God, please stop. We
Right.
get it. We fucking get it." It becomes so formulaic and robotic that it almost backfires. It makes you
Hmm.
think that they're less real than they would have been if they would have just shut the fuck up,
Right.
in my opinion. And it feels so
Also,
forced too, because it's like,
yeah.
oh, their theme of revenge, and oh my God, you're so fucking deep.
um, but getting back to the actual story of the game, where I'm at right now, I've enjoyed the story, I've enjoyed the gameplay, um, and I don't know. In my mind, I feel like, and again, this could change by the time I've finished the game and I've had to trudge through Abby's part, if I come to believe it's trudging through that part.
Hmm.
Um, but I think right now that, like, if you're fully bought into what the world is of The Last of Us, then there's not many problems to be had with what they've done so far. And
Sure.
that's my personal opinion,
Oh,
obviously.
yes, you can have that. You know what? I don't begrudge you for that opinion. I just disagree with it quite a lot.
Yeah.
Well, how far are you in again? What part are you at?
So I don't know if you know this, like, if I just say it, if you'll know, but I just killed Nora in the
She
hospital.
the Okay,
Yeah,
I
she's
know.
the one who you, like, throw down into the spores and beat with a
Yeah,
pipe,
yeah,
which was a cool, that
nice.
was a cool sequence. I liked that, them playing with, like, her immunity a little more that
I
way.
thought it was a cool scene, but I did think Ellie was also being a bit retarded for some reason. Because she was like, give me the information. She's like, no. It's like, I'm gonna beat you until you give it to me. And she's like, fucking do it. And then she beats her. But
Right.
instead of asking for information, she just keeps doing it. Like Ellie, you need to
Right.
actually ask for information. She's gonna die.
I thought
She
it
just,
would have been a lot cooler, and I thought this as soon as that sequence ended, and and it cuts, and then she ends up back at the, like,
yeah,
cinema covered in blood. I was like, it would have been a lot cooler if Ellie was like, "I can take you out quick, or I can sit here and watch you turn, and
that would
that's
have been
worse for
sick.
you."
Yeah,
Like, that would have been like,
yeah.
oh yeah,
Honestly,
that
would have
is
been.
a good way to, like, strike fear into her.
Yeah, I agree. That would have been a better way to do the scene. But I
But
also want to point out that while Ellie's doing that, she shows remorse and guilt and disgust. While when Abby is beating Joel to death, she shows jubilation and joy and fucking relief. Just want to point that out that
yeah,
when later in the game they're trying to paint Abby as a good person, she's fucking not because that's not how a
right.
good person reacts to that shit.
I mean, I do think there's going to come a point where I struggle a little bit to empathize, because right now, as Ellie's just going through mowing people down, I'm just like, "Yep, you deserve that. You, you're taking that one. You're
I
taking that
think
L."
I think it'll depend on how you react to Abby's initial scene when you begin playing as her.
Yeah,
So it'll depend on that, and I'll be interested to see how you react to that and how that'll pull you along.
yeah, and I did find it interesting because when you watch the trailer for, like, the announcement trailer for The Last of Us Part Two, there's a part where you see Joel say, "You really thought I'd let you do this alone?" And then when you play the game, you find out that that's actually Jesse who says that, and they just, like, had Troy Baker record that line and then threw Joel in there
Wow,
instead of Jesse to mislead you.
that's pretty shitty.
Um, well, they didn't want you to figure out that he was going to be dying
But
so early on.
they didn't need to fucking lie to people.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
god damn.
it's just like with what all the Marvel movies did for the Endgame and Infinity War, where it's just like, oh, here's this scene of Hulk running in to fight, and then it's actually the Hulkbuster suit, and it's not even that sequence. Like, it's just they're trying to subvert your expectations, which I know, as we've talked about with, like, the Last Jedi. Um,
Always works
you're
out.
not exactly a fan of subverting expectations, and in the large part, I'm not either.
I wouldn't
So,
say that. I wouldn't say I'm not a fan of
well,
subverting
we'll say
expectations.
lazily subverting
I
expectations.
would say I'm not a fan of people who subvert my expectations in a shitty way.
Yeah.
With bad execution is more
Right.
like it.
Um, and I so far I like the way that the game has constructed you playing through Ellie's revenge quest, where it's intercut with these flashback moments.
Right, right. Yeah.
I've enjoyed that quite a bit. Um,
Have they shown the part where Ellie finds out about the fireflies?
I think I might be getting ready to play that part.
That is that's one of the scenes where I feel like they really do some disrespect to Joel
Yeah,
because
because I played the moment where they're gonna go and get guitar strings, and Ellie kind of broaches the question a bit of what
yeah,
happened.
yeah,
Um, but and I mean, to be fair, Ellie would definitely. I think in some ways she would react poorly, just because her father figure lied to her,
right.
and like
Well,
that's not an easy thing. And
well,
I haven't played it, so I don't know how I'll
it's
take
a
how they
couple of
actually do it.
things, and I don't want to say anything specific because I want you to experience the scene, of course, without any
Right.
spoilers. But it's a couple things for me because personally, when I played The Last of Us, I always got the feeling that Ellie kind of knew.
I would agree that I think you can definitely infer from the ending that she knows that Joel isn't telling her everything.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, like she kind of got the
especially,
feeling.
right, especially because, like, you see in that looking for strings for the guitar thing where she's like, you know, you carried me out unconscious. Like, you haven't told me what actually happened. You just told me there were a ton of us, but I have you ever seen another one of us or another one of me? And do you expect me to believe you? And
But like in the actual scene though where it comes out, she kind of just acts like she had no, I don't know. And perhaps it's just a me thing. It felt like
mhm,
she was too surprised. It was like you already kind of knew. So like are you
right.
really that shocked? Really going to be that act like it's that much of a fucking shock? But the main issue I have cuz that's aside from that, the main issue I do have is how Joel reacts to it. And
Hmm.
it comes back to me of why I think the game even if it might say like, "Oh, we do respect of character," I think ultimately does not. It disrespects his character, making him more stupid and try to make him look like a worse person than he actually is. But that's I'll let you experience that scene and come to your own conclusions
Right.
about what that aspect of it.
I'm really thinking when I finish
But
The
yeah,
Last of
so
Us
is
2.
that as far?
Well,
Oh, sorry, you're saying something?
yeah, I was going to say, I really think when I finish The Last of Us 2 that I'm going to go back and replay the first game.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, because I think, because when I fully played and completed The Last of Us 2 was last fall. That was my first full taking in of it.
Hmm.
Um, and I still feel like I remember a fair amount about it. But I think what I specifically want to consider when I replay it is how Joel is early in the first game. Um,
I mean, early as in like before the outbreak,
no,
or
no, before the one girl dies, the one he's with.
oh, Tessa.
Yeah, her. Yeah, um, that version of Joel. That's what I'm going to be interested in looking at in comparison to the more I find out as I, continue to play through.
Right.
But I don't know. I kind of expected I would enjoy it, and so far I'm loving it. I mean,
Well, I'm glad. Even if I disagree, I'm glad you're at least enjoying yourself, Zach.
yeah. And another
So,
thing is, no matter how you feel about the game, I think if you've played the first game and you haven't experienced The Last of Us Part Two, it's important that you experience it, whether
yeah,
you
if
end up thinking it's good or bad.
well, yeah, I'm not gonna. If you, I'm gonna say if you've played The Last of Us one, and you don't know anything about The Last of Us two, I'm gonna suggest.
Well, they know some things now if they've
Right.
made it this far.
Yeah, yeah, that's actually fucking true. If everything you've heard, uh, about The Last of Us two sounds really shitty, I'm gonna actually just say don't play it because you'll just be distressed and have a bad time. So I'm just, yeah, that's my feelings on it. Just stop there. You know what you need to know. You're like, all right, I'm done. Because I don't want. You'll probably just feel really fucking bad if you play it.
Another kind of small potatoes thing, and I'm going to give an argument against something I heard Dylan say while also making my own separate point, is when I had been talking to Dylan about it, because I think he watched Critical play it,
Hmm.
and his thing was he went on this kind of tangent about how the enemy AI wasn't good for The Last of Us Part Two, and the thing was he was looking at it with like when you turn on all the accessibility options, so it's truly a baby game, so you can just walk
Mhm.
through and like stand up next to him and nothing happens, you know. But
Right.
I think the enemy AI is good for The Last of Us Part Two, other than the fact that it's almost like some of them, like in certain areas, just have these predetermined routes that they can't seem to fluctuate from as they like scout an area for you, which can make some of the encounters really easy. Like even
Right.
after you've killed someone, they'll still just walk in that same loop around this area. Um, but
I've
the problem I have with some of the enemy encounters is just that I think enemy encounters in The Last of Us in general are can be largely repetitive.
oh certainly. And in terms of enemy AI, I think I've seen evidence for kind of both sides because I've heard from you where you seem to have like no issue, but then I've also seen gameplay where the AI has been a bit fucking weird.
Right.
Not gonna lie. So I'd say AI is probably like average, yeah, from what I've seen.
I mean,
Uh,
it's no better or no worse than
sh-
literally any other shooter you're gonna
sure,
play. You
sure.
know.
It's not spectacular. I don't know if I'd go as far to say it's terrible. Uh, it's just it's there.
Hmm.
But encounters, I would definitely agree. They get they well because like I feel like this might have. I don't know if I'd say this was an issue in Last of Us One as well, but I think it probably could have been if I played it again.
It definitely was for me in both games, and you know, it's still the Naughty Dog formula, and I enjoy the
Yeah,
gunplay and doing it. But every encounter I have is literally just me being like, "Well, I'm gonna sneak around with the focused hearing on and just try and stealth
yeah.
kill as many as I can, and then just eventually someone will see me,
Yeah,
um, and I'll have to fight, you know,
it's
and
just
waste
very
all my
slow pace.
ammunition."
It's very slow paced, and that can be rather boring at times.
Right,
Other stealth games can allow you to sort of approach things in maybe a very creative way or a very fast way as you gain skill and
right,
expertise in the game. Last of Us doesn't necessarily do that because it's trying to also make it survival. And what
right.
that ends up happening is that you kind of just end up doing the same thing every time. It gets
Hmm.
kind of boring. Not gonna lie.
One thing I do like, um, in terms of what they've added to the AI is I like them having added dogs that can like sniff you out,
Hmm.
and like that adds an extra dimension to how you're sneaking through areas. Um, and then I also like that like if you're rushing enemies like head on with the like holding L1 so you can rush, then the enemies can target you easier because you're just rushing straight at them.
Yeah, yeah, it's something.
So
Good job, Last of Us 2.
yeah, you with that you've earned the 10 out of 10 from IGN, the 100 score from Metacritic, and we're all
And a
done.
and a thumbs up from me.
Yeah.
Good job. So yeah, I guess that's it for now. Unless you have anything else to say about Last of Us 2.
Um. No. I'll definitely. This will definitely be another topic for another day.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You
We'll,
know,
we'll
once
probably
I've finished it properly.
yeah. Once you finish this will probably we'll probably have a whole podcast dedicated to talking about Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see because you've so far you've only played the Ellie stuff, and I'm interested to see how you feel about Abby's part because
Hmm.
because from my experience because I've experienced a lot of people play through Last of Us 2. Maybe not a lot, but quite a few. And it usually goes if they've gotten past the Joel part, uh it's Ellie's part is mostly fine, and then the Abby part sucks serious ass.
Yeah.
The usual the usual way it goes. So I'm interested to see if you feel the same or if you feel like it's actually really good.
Right. I do think I'll end up having an issue with the ending because I
Do you know
know.
the ending?
Well, what I know is that Ellie ends up going through all this trouble just not to even kill Abby.
Yeah, it's fucking
So,
stupid.
so I mean, it does feel like a wasted trip in the end. you know.
Yeah, but
But
that's the message of the game. It's
right,
about revenge, Zach.
right.
It's deep. It's so fucking deep.
Well, it's just like playing the new game from the people who made Until Dawn, Little Hope, and you get through you spoilers for that, but you play through the whole game avoiding these monsters, and you find out it's all inside the main character's head. It's like there's no point to playing then.
Seriously?
Yeah,
That's stupid.
yeah.
I hate that twist.
It's
That they
like,
subverted your expectations, and that's always good.
yeah, yeah,
God.
yeah.
So, is that an episode?
I think that's an episode.
All right, cool.
I think that's
Right
knocking
on
on the
time.
door of ending. So, you know, um, we gotta do our recommended of the week, the thing you hate for me to bring up every week since we've started it.
I can always. How does this keep sneaking up on me?
I don't know.
Every fucking week. You go
um,
first. If it's The Last of Us 2, I'll kill you.
no, no, it's not. You don't have to worry. My recommendation is Ghost of Tsushima. Pick that game up and play it right now because I actually finished it this week. That's the whole reason I started The Last of Us 2. And definitely one of my favorite games I've ever played on PlayStation ever. Really beautiful story, really beautiful game. Can't emphasize enough how good that game is.
Sick.
That's your
My
cue. That's
recommendation's
yeah.
gonna be Hades. It's a
Like
game.
the oh okay. I thought you were just going with like the Greek god.
Uh, no, no, no. No, I mean Hades the game. It's a game that came out. I've been playing it recently. It's really fucking good. It's basically it's a dungeon crawler sort of thing. It's like a what's it called when roguelike. It's when you go into this
Okay.
dungeon and it changes every time you do it. It's really good. It's got a pretty good story going on. It's got really fun gameplay. You should check it out. If you've played games like Bastion, because they're the same people who made that game, or they made another game whose name I forget because I never played that one. But it's basically kind of like very similar. Uh, so yeah, check it out. Really good. Only $25, very cheap. So that's my recommendation.
It's especially cheap in the world of $70 PS5 games,
Fuck that noise. Yeah, honestly.
Yeah. Well, until next week, kids. Thanks for tuning in.
Yep. Thanks for making time for the boys.
There we go. Nice job.